Now, soldiers from the One Rifles battle group are being put through the final phase of their pre-deployment training in a mock Afghan village in Norfolk. It's ahead of their upcoming tour on Herrick 14 with 3 Commando Brigade. The training is said to be the most realistic yet and represents what's happening on the ground in Helmand. Charlotte Cross reports.
It's not a district centre in Helmand province, but it's as near as you can get on a Norfolk training area. This is a mock Afghan village, complete with compounds, patrol bases and a bazaar. And it's where soldiers from One Rifles are being put through the final phase of their pre-deployment training. The operational training teams make frequent visits to theatre to ensure this village reflects the reality on the ground. There are even tunnel systems connecting compounds so the insurgents can disappear.
It's definitely a good compound, a village. It's all the compounds and pretty much exactly the same as you'd see in theatre.
It's come on so far since when I went through the same training 2 years ago. You can just see the facilities that have been built around. It only helps the men prepare for what's going to be a very challenging time.
Just outside the village is the green zone. It represents the fields of head-high maize, which often makes fighting so difficult in Helmand. The soldiers have to consider the whereabouts of civilians before they open fire, just as they would do for real. About 30% of the soldiers are on their second tour of Afghanistan, but as this mock village was only built a year ago, most have never experienced it before.
Little intricacies when you walk around here that are actually incredibly realistic. The way the irrigation channels have been dug, the bazaars have been set up, it's all ramshackle. The compounds are here, these huge things that you can't really replicate other way. Using the Afghan civilians makes the whole thing a lot more realistic than just having guys with the softies turned inside out.
One of the most challenging aspects is how to recreate the local population. For that, 150 Afghans act as locals, whether in the bazaar, in the villages or wandering around. And more than 100 Gurkhas play the Afghan police and army.
Yes, I mean, just this morning when the Afghan National Army and the Afghan National Police in this very village were having a bit of minor aggro, is very representative of the challenges that we as mentors and partners will have to face.
To be fully prepared for Afghanistan's complex environment, these soldiers need to train not just physically, they also need to train their minds. And that means understanding the Afghan culture, the way Afghans behave and how they think. It's called the thinking soldiers approach, and it's key in counterinsurgency, where the people are the prize.
I think it is the most important thing to be really focused on, because in 80% of the times British troops will be interacting with the locals, and unless they understand the local population, their culture, the way they behave, I don't think wars like we are fighting together can be won.
This training has at least helped give the soldiers the confidence they need to know they can do the very difficult job that lies ahead. Charlotte Cross, Forces News, Norfolk.